So anyway, this month we are exploring the idea of the spiritual road trip, mapping our inner journey. Last week I shared with you some thoughts about the suitcase that we take with us along life's journey. And much like when we're traveling, if we want to travel smart and easy, we need to pay a little more attention to what we're taking with us and make sure that what we are taking will really serve us and isn't more than what we need, because if we take too much, it can become quite burdensome, quite heavy, and can even be kind of expensive with baggage fees and stuff, right? And now I want us to take a look at this idea of the GPS, using our spiritual GPS, traveling through life with it. The truth is that our life is always speaking to us, always speaking to us. Our soul's GPS is always on. But the critical question is, it's on, it's transmitting, but are we paying attention? That's the real critical part. And then not only are we paying attention, but are we actually following it? Are we actually following it? So we need to pay attention to it, but it's not enough to just go, oh yeah, it's guiding me over here, but I'm going to go over there. That we need to be paying attention to it and then actually following it. Think about your car's GPS system. You use it, right? It's very convenient. Do you remember before GPS? Do you remember maybe needing to map out? How many of you remember a Thomas Brothers map? That's most of us in this room, right? And flipping through and finding the name of the road and then which page on the map it was and which, segment of the map it was, and then figuring out how we were going to get there and maybe needing to stop along the way because we needed to look again. A lot. And now all we do is we punch it in on our screen, either on our phone or the screen on our car, and it tells us where to go, right? Because it knows where we are, and then we say where we want to go, and then it figures out the best way for us to get there. And they're even more sophisticated now than when they first came out, right? Not just from point A to point B, but telling us if there are problems along the way. And if we get off course, what do? They redirect us. Turn around when possible, right? Turn around when possible. Do you remember some of your first experiences with using GPS? How many of you were early adopters? A few of you. I'm not sure you'll admit if you were not an early adopter. But I'm married to one who was not an early adopter, and I'm going to pick on my husband today. Yeah. So I remember when we first started using GPS as a family to travel, particularly when we were traveling abroad. And John was very skeptical of these things. Very, very skeptical of them. And so me being the problem solver that I tend to be, thought, well, how do I make this a little bit nicer for him so he doesn't argue with it so much and he actually pays attention to it? And back then, I don't know if you can still do this now, but back then with the particular GPS that we had, it wasn't on our phone, it was like a little tom-tom thing, they called it. You could pick the voice. And so I found the sexiest sounding female voice I could, thinking maybe that would cause him to listen. He gave us untold entertainment along the road. Now, sometimes that GPS faltered just a little bit in those early days, like the time it took us down a one-way street in Spain. A very narrow one-way street in Spain, so it was pretty hard to figure out how to get out of that. Or another time when it took us almost to the edge of a cliff in Greece. Yeah, that one was a little gnarly. Or another time when it caused us to travel through like a farm between cows as we were making our way to an agriturismo in Umbria, Italy. So my husband had a right to kind of hesitate a little bit, but the truth of the matter is, it always got us there eventually. It always got us there eventually. This global positioning system is what GPS stands for. Global positioning system. It uses satellites. The basic system uses 24 satellites and ground connectivity with those satellites to be able to mark where we are anywhere on the planet and then help us get to wherever we want to go. And I think most of us agree that today we take it for granted, don't we? And we use it pretty steadily, pretty consistently. Well, our soul has a GPS system as well. And I think it is every bit as accurate as any man-made GPS system there is. We don't always pay attention to it, just like we may sometimes question the GPS system in our car. But our soul's GPS system is always transmitting to us. It's a matter of whether we are really paying attention to it or not. So there are 3 areas I want to talk to you about today with regard to your soul's navigation system. The first idea is this, is the idea of divine discontent. Say that with me. Divine discontent. Divine discontent. Divine discontent is the longing of the soul. Our soul's GPS sometimes speaks to us through this feeling of discontent, where we go, something just doesn't feel right. Some of you are smiling. You know what I'm talking about, right? You may not even be able to put it completely in words. You might not be able to explain it completely to somebody else, but there's just this feeling that something's off. Nod your head if you know what I'm talking about. In spiritual practice, particularly in unity, we refer to this as divine discontent. And we do not look at it as something bad. We look at it actually as something incredibly good. Just like physical pain doesn't feel good, but physical pain is really important. Physical pain is our body's way of saying, something's not right and you better take care of it. And if you don't take care of it, what's likely to happen? It's going to get worse until you do what? Until you pay attention to it and respond in whatever way you need to respond to heal it or to fix it. Divine discontent is like that in us. It's as if, not as if, it is our soul speaking to us to say there's something not right. Pay attention. Don't pull away from it. Step into it. Probe it. Try to understand it. Try to make it tell you what it is about. It's one of the reasons that prayer and meditation is so important when we are feeling this sense of discontent. Because in prayer and meditation, as we quiet the mind and create that inner experience of spaciousness, we then have the opportunity, we create the opportunity to be able to see and hear what's trying to get our attention. The soul often speaks through longing. Maston Kipp, who's an author and an inspirational speaker, founder of something called the dailylove.com, wrote this about this idea, I think, of divine discontent. He said, I believe everyone has a God-sized hole inside of them that we try to fill with shopping or with a relationship or food or sex or drugs, but it's not out there. It's in here. It's an internal connection. And that's what a spiritual practice, listening to your intuition, having a creative expression, being of service is all about. That is how you sustainably fill up your God-sized hole. Otherwise, it's like a drop that's disconnected from the ocean. You just wither and die. Divine discontent. If you are at a place in your life right now where you're feeling that sense of discontent, give thanks for that. Because on the other side of it, as you explore what it's all about and you're willing to probe and then you're willing to follow whatever guidance you receive, you're going to find a tremendous amount of joy, a tremendous amount of satisfaction, a tremendous feeling of relief. Myrtle Fillmore had this to say about divine discontent. Myrtle Fillmore was the co-founder of Unity. She wrote, "All of us sooner or later come to the place in our development where we are no longer satisfied to go on living the old life without the knowledge of our oneness with God, the source of our being. Sometimes when we reach this point in our soul's progress, we do not at first know what is taking place. We may become restless and dissatisfied. We may go through experiences that we do not understand. We may even be tempted to think that our good has gone from us. But just as surely as there is God, the one presence and the one power, we shall find that we are going from one room, as it were, into another larger and lighter room. And there we will find what it is we are looking for. There we will find what it is we need. But it's the discontent that causes us to go looking. And I don't mean looking out here, I mean looking in here. To close our outer eye and turn within so we can understand what is the signal that divine discontent is trying to give us, the change, the redirection, just like our GPS system, to redirect us along a new path, a new way. Second important idea here is the idea of intuition itself. I think sometimes people believe that they don't have intuition. And anyone who suggests to me that they don't have it, I think they don't understand what intuition is. We all have intuition. We all have a sixth sense. Some of us have tuned ourselves to the frequency of it better than others have. Some of us have been taught to value that sixth sense, that way of knowing that isn't locked up in here. And to the degree that we've been encouraged to pay attention to that other way of knowing, that then makes that intuition stronger and clearer. So it's not a matter that some of us have it and some of us don't. It's that some of us have spent more time attempting to understand it and to cultivate it. And part of the way that it becomes stronger is by paying attention to it when we do get those inner feelings. And we say, you know what? I'm going to trust it, and I'm going to at least see where it takes me. Each time we do that, we get better at discerning that intuition, at discerning that still small voice. It is transmitting all the time. We are just not receiving all the time. It is transmitting all the time. We are just not receiving all the time. Every right decision I have ever made, every right decision, every important decision I have ever made, I have made from intuition. And every bad decision I've ever made has come from listening not to intuition, but listening to fear or doubt or anger or worry or someone else's story. I bet you can point to a time in your life when, without realizing how you knew that something was right, you just knew it was right. Am I correct? You just knew it. Against all odds, perhaps, against anybody else telling you you've got to be crazy. Ever since I was a little girl, I always knew about things. I didn't know how I knew them. I just knew them. And sometimes it got me in trouble, because as a little girl, you don't always say the things that you know, especially if those around you don't believe that you could possibly know that at your age. Does that make sense what I'm saying? If you have a child in your life that somehow seems to be really intuitive, to have that sixth sense, encourage that. Encourage that. It's a spiritual skill, and it is valuable. How many of you would easily and willingly give up your GPS system in your car and go back to a Thomas Brothers map? Would you go back to a Thomas Brothers map? Okay. I don't think too many of you would, but okay, Dorothy. I know I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. And I want to pay attention to my spiritual GPS. I want to pay attention to my spiritual GPS. To know that I know when something is right. I think about the decision that Jana and I made many years ago now to homeschool our kids. We had no idea how we were going to do it, but somehow I knew, and bless his heart, he's always allowed me when my intuition is strong. He's always supported me in it. I absolutely knew it was the right thing to do. And man, to do that in community, when the idea of homeschooling was not that common, I still remember people saying to me, "What are you going to do about prom?" Thought he's not even in kindergarten. I have a little time to figure out what we're going to do about prom or calculus. Or when you know what's right for you, sometimes it takes a lot of courage to do it, right? When John walked back into my life after we were divorced for 7 years and showed up, if you don't know that story, I can't go into it right now, and showed up unexpectedly in church. He had remarried, I had not. I saw him and I knew in an instant what it meant. When we found the house that we are living in now, we found it in August of 2015. I walked into that house and I thought, this is our house and we're going to be in this house by Thanksgiving. August. Doesn't seem, that's a long period of time, right? Except we hadn't put our house up for sale. We didn't have a realtor. We hadn't pre-qualified, and we were going out of the country for about 4 weeks. But I knew, and we did in fact spend that Thanksgiving, our first Thanksgiving. When you know, value it. That's your soul, that's something inside of you telling you, go this way. Not that way. Go that way, not this way. Stop, pivot, turn around when possible. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. Oprah wrote, "If you've been faking your way through life, ignoring your inner compass, your GPS, the wake-up call can be harsh." Have you ever had that? The wake-up call can be harsh. Job loss, the end of a relationship, money problems, disruption in any form. No matter how devastating, these are opportunities to stop sleepwalking through your life. Wake up and pay attention to the red flags, the whispers, the pebbles, and bricks along the way. Heed the whisper or be hit by the cosmic 2x4. Right? Right? Listen to the whisper. Listen for the whisper. This is why our practice of mindfulness, our practice of meditation really is important. It really does help us to be able to tune into the frequency of our GPS, if you will, to tune into the frequency of our soul's messaging, to tune into the frequency of intuition. When your GPS says, turn around when possible, you probably do. When your GPS says, traffic ahead, take another route, you probably do. And if you don't, you probably regret that you didn't pay attention to take another route. Sometimes our internal soul's GPS is telling us, turn around, telling us to take a different direction, or maybe telling us to slow down or to rest for a while before we head on back out. And the third area I want to cover with this idea of our soul's GPS is that there is this vibrational energy that we absolutely are. Every one of us carries a vibrational energy. It's not a static thing, it changes. What do you think changes our vibrational energy the most? What we are thinking up here. What we are holding up here, what we hold up here, the thoughts we consistently run, become the feelings that we have. And those feelings are what put us in a particular energetic vibration. You might attract but you will only keep in your life what is equal to what matches your vibrational energy, the energy of your consciousness. This is why people can win the lottery and pretty soon lose all that they had, right? Why? We could say, well, it's a bad investment. No, it's something that's the outer manifestation of it. The inner is the consciousness wasn't there to begin with. The vibration wasn't there to begin with. There is nothing and no one external to you that changes your vibration. It is up to us. We can say, oh no, there are people in my life that just really rub me the wrong way, and boy, when I'm around them, I'm really in a lousy mood. Well, guess who puts you in the lousy mood? No, not that person. It would be so easy, right? We do. Are you with me with this? I mean, we really do. We do. It can be a knee-jerk, unconscious reaction, and oftentimes it is. But as soon as, when we are in this teaching, if we are really in this teaching and really practicing this teaching, we realize that we are responsible for what it is that we hold in consciousness. I'm personally not at the place in my life where I am able to completely eliminate some of the ick that crosses my mind and some of the momentary, or maybe not quite so momentary, feelings that I may get into that don't vibrate at a high level. But I do know that I have developed the skill not to stay there. That's a huge mark of growth for any one of us, right? So don't approach this as you reflect on your own thinking and your own energetic vibration. Don't expect to be at the highest level all the time. I don't think that's realistic, not for most of us anyway. But we absolutely can be consistently working to get better at it. And as we get better at it, our life really changes dramatically. People that don't belong in our life gradually just kind of fade away. Those that do, we begin to what? Attract into our life experience. The opportunities that we really long for, we begin to draw to us, drawing it to us by like mind, by like heart. This is why this teaching is a daily consistent practice. It's not something that we just go to church or tune in on a Sunday morning for an hour and say, okay, I feel good, I got that, and then we go back into our same modus operandi. It's a steady, consistent thing. I remember when I used to do a lot of our membership classes, and we would talk about how unity is a way of living, a way of being, of following this guidance, of actively practicing these teachings. How one person shared with me, and this actually happened several times, where they would say to me, you know, it was so much easier when I was Catholic, because all I needed to do was to go to church once a week and fulfill my obligation. This unity stuff is every day. And I thought, honey, if you only knew, it's every moment. It's not every day. It really is a way of being, a way of living. And as we commit to living it more fully, we really do reap the rewards. Our life does get better and better and better. We operate from the level first of being, then doing, then having and attracting. And if we are paying attention, we will find that our soul will guide us and redirect us from where we are to where we want to be, just as surely as the GPS in our car will guide us from where we are to where we want to go. Our job is to be paying attention. It is always transmitting. Namaste.